Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. In this reading I'm looking into the case of Caleb Harris. This is a part 2 reading. You may or may not have seen my first reading. If not, you may wish to check it out, see what came through in that channeling. First of all, I was really guided to put blue out today. So I strongly see blue for Caleb. I feel he loved that colour. But again, linking to the first reading, I feel that he's close to water. I mean, I could be wrong. He could be in water. I'm not feeling that. But I am feeling that he's close to water. And the way that I came about doing this reading was through a dream a few days ago. This is how it works with Spirit. Once you've connected with them, they'll come through again. So I saw Caleb in my dream. I'm just going to share that with you. So I saw Caleb outside a window. And I was behind some curtains in the building and I could see him. So the clue there was that someone was watching him from behind some curtains that early morning when he went missing. It's quite interesting again because I then had a dream last night of some curtains. It's quite bizarre. I was looking at these curtains from outside a building and I saw them as white with floral, like a floral design on them. So clearly I had that dream, second dream, for a reason. Curtains seem to be significant. I mean, obviously curtains hide things as, symbolism. I strongly heard espionage come through as well. So yeah, this person in that apartment complex keeps coming through strongly because they're a spy, they know what happened, they know what's going on. And then I got Latin female for that person. It's quite interesting because I heard solar and I was thinking solar as in, solar eclipse, but then it came through as solar, the Spanish word for single female. Thankfully I speak a bit of Spanish. So that's how I got the Latin link. I also, the other day, got a sign of kings and I saw the crown again in my mind's eye that came through in my first reading. You may remember my first reading. I used cards for that reading, which is why I love using cards as well for clues, and we kept getting crowns. Now I have to thank the person who said there's a gang apparently in that area called Latin Kings. It's quite interesting they're close together there, Latin Kings. So that blew my mind because I remember I had a vision of a crown before I did that recording. So that's quite a strong clue. Now this morning I did some channeling as well with Caleb, and this is what came through. He said his phone is underwater, first of all. And then I kept hearing head honcho Paco for this gang. Also the initial A strongly came through. And then I kept hearing the timing is off, and I kept seeing 4 in my mind's eye. So there's something around 4 a.m. that's significant, I believe, in terms of the abduction, actually. I had a few visions. I saw an anchor, and again this hammer image that came through in my first reading, and I said marina. Now what's quite interesting, if you look on the map, which I did after that reading, you'll see that there's a marina that looks like a hammer. There's a couple of them. So it's further north of where Caleb lived. It's sort of like I don't know if it's in the centre. I couldn't tell you. It's like south of the bridge. So take a look and you'll see. It blew my mind because they look like that. And that's what I saw in my vision. I also kept smelling seafood around that area and the initial W. So this, I believe, is where Caleb's body is. That's what came to me. I heard they operate in threes in terms of this gang. So there's obviously more of them. Then I did a little automatic writing, and I got, where they went was old, no light, but I saw the sun. I kept feeling sunrise, like he saw the sun rise. That's what he was saying. And also, it was so interesting, in my automatic writing that I did, sometimes symbols come through, things that don't make sense. And I've drawn it again here. This is what came through. It looks like a fish, and there's 82 in it. Now, I'm not entirely certain what that was. It just came through. I'm wondering if it's a link to this seafood place, 82, on a sign. The place where Caleb's body is. I do feel that's a clue. So if any of you know, do let us know. I'm going to research after this reading because I wanted to jump on and do this reading right away. So I've just pulled a few of my keywords that I sometimes use for these readings. Someone's lying, first of all. Their identity is being hidden with darkness. So I believe that's the female coming through there who has not come forward. They're keeping things hidden, which links with the curtains that I saw in my dream. Really interesting. We've got pain, so here Caleb's confirming that he was in pain, unfortunately. We did have that in the first reading. Unfortunately, some things they did to him, his final moments weren't very nice. Wow, okay, darkness. I've just realised we had no light come out of this place. It was old, no light. And it was interesting, in the first reading I had an old building come through in my channeling, a very dark place where they took Caleb. Okay, you may hear my cat purring, by the way. She's just jumped up on my lap. I wasn't going to use cards for this reading, but I just wanted to clarify this female who has strongly come out in terms of this espionage. And I was just wondering whether Caleb knew her. These cards came out, and it's so interesting. We've got curtains in this card. You can't make this up. Now, what I'm feeling is that Caleb had seen her, because even in my dream, with him being outside the window, like he was actually looking in the window, and she was peeping out. So I'm getting that he'd seen her. I don't believe anything happened with them, but I feel there was something there. He was quite interested in her. So it's quite interesting that here he's got his hand on his heart, like he was a very sincere energy. We've also got a rose, which can indicate love. But again, it's hidden behind this cloak that he's wearing, so I'm getting hidden feelings there coming through. So the plot thickens here because I wasn't sure if he knew that energy. This card also came out, which is quite interesting because we've got the female, dark hair coming through for that female, the rose. And with this light, I'm really seeing that as spying again. So she was spying on him. I mean, maybe he got the wrong idea. If he saw her out and about, it's like he was the target I'm getting here as well. The spotlight was on him. Was he seen as a threat? This card has also come out, and it's so interesting in terms of the imagery. So, you know, we've got him on land close to the sea. There's a ship there. With these three poles, I'm seeing those as the marina. Again, that came out in my channeling. I believe there were 3 of them when I looked on the map. So, you know, he's very close to there, as we can see here. Wow, yeah, and interesting that this figure has no shoes on, which I believe was the case for Caleb. We've got a snake there showing us deception. Lies, yeah, the liar. There's a liar in particular. My camera just cut out as I said that. That's quite interesting, showing us spirit here, as they can interfere with electronics sometimes. Yeah, I'm just being drawn to the liar and the snake there. And it's interesting, he's got his hand on his heart. So I'm feeling again it's linked to this female he's pointing out is a liar. And it's interesting, we've got 3, and I said about them operating in 3s as well. There's a bird here which can signify communication. I'm getting this as like the head that I mentioned before that made this happen. So it's quite interesting, the clarification that we're getting here. Okay, this is so interesting. I've just asked for anything else we need to know. And we've got a female, and this is someone who knows stuff, hidden knowledge. This female has. I don't know if this card came out in my first reading. Possibly, and it's so interesting, we've got the initial A, which came out obviously in my channeling. So maybe it's this female with the initial A. But there's stuff that this female knows, this person in the apartment complex who saw Caleb at the window. I don't believe he saw her. Latin female who's a liar. Even something about her identity. is coming through here as questionable. Dark energies as well, with darkness for that gang, which I felt in that first reading. Shady stuff that they do. I must admit, I may have to do more readings on this, because I can feel that heavy energy, first of all, strongly, but it makes it quite difficult. Sometimes it's hard to do these channelings, sometimes it's easier. In terms of like unravelling, you know, what was going on here, because we've had a bit more come through about this female. I mean, I don't believe there was a relationship there, but I could be wrong. But I do believe Caleb knew, like, had seen her. So it's like he'd seen her, she'd seen him. Now maybe there was mistaken identity there. You know, crossed wires. Yeah, I'm just suddenly hearing crossed wires. She wondered why he was looking at her. Well, I think he was just interested, to be honest, curious. That's what I'm feeling with the hand on the heart that's come out. Wow, yeah, I'm getting emotions come through. And there's a dog barking, you may hear it on camera. Now that's a sign of companionship, loyalty. So yeah, he was sincere in terms of what he was doing, but this other energy is very shady, which we can see here. Protecting something. Spy, definitely coming through here. Okay, everyone, wow. I'm sort of pausing the camera sometimes just to sort of ground my energy, because it is quite dark and there are quite a lot of energies here, but I asked for some more cards for clarity and we got the King of Wands. There's the crown again. This is the person that made this happen. The Ten of Swords here is showing the ending, Caleb's ending. And it's interesting, we got the sun, and he said he saw the sun. So I'm feeling it was at sunrise, early morning, when he actually passed. That's what came through in my channeling, obviously. His clothing is torn. He was tormented. That came out in my first reading. There was pain. I'm pretty certain this card came out, you know, in that reading. I can't remember, because when I channel, there's a lot you forget actually afterwards. But yeah, a lot of pain and suffering that Caleb went through. And again, the link to the crown, the kings. There, a Latin energy here coming through, quite ruthless. I feel. We've got birds again, yeah, like his messengers, his other people, you know, who were involved here. Okay, everyone, I'm actually being guided to end this reading here with that coming through. We've had some clarity, some more information. Wow, I'm getting, as you can probably hear, a slightly blocked throat chakra. So I'm feeling that, wow. Okay, I'm feeling that there was possibly some strangulation. Yeah, because as you can hear, this is suddenly happening. And notice in this card, the one light there indicating the mouth. So he was injured already, but that could have been how they did it, for that to suddenly come through physically for me. Wow, poor Caleb. And yeah, it's very heavy. It wasn't a nice way for him to go, sort of feeling, which is what makes this difficult, you know. Okay, yeah, so as I said, I'm going to end that there. I may do a follow-on reading, obviously, if I get more channeled information or dreams, as I often do. Let us know if you noticed anything as well in the reading. You've all been great in terms of seeing clues and stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.